Nano Banana Pro and Kling just became the power couple of AI storytelling. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that it shocked me how far this stuff just jumped. This week I was working on a concept ad, and both these tools dropped features that completely changed the way that I build stories. Nano Banana Pro gave me a way to generate full storyboards and consistent characters in minutes. And then Kling released new video models that opened up a whole new level of motion, editing controls, lighting changes, and even native voice right inside of the clip. And if you want to see how these new updates actually fit into a working creative pipeline, not just a hype reel, this is the video for you. I'm Khalil from AI for Real Life, and I've been spending the past year over on TikTok testing image and video tools every day so that you don't have to. But I've decided to jump back over here on YouTube so I can slow it down and walk you through what I actually do behind the scenes, shot by shot and tool by tool. And I've been working on everything from AI ad campaigns to AI films and everything in between. So finding out whether a tool is really useful or all hype is very important as I try to create high quality videos. But I'm gonna stop talking about it, so let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so let's dive into this project that I've been working on, because really it's the best way to show you what these new tools are actually bringing to the table. So in my last video, I talked about how Nano Banana Pro, it helped me bring my story to life. It gave me better accuracy, better angles, better text handling, all those things that really took everything to the next level. Well, that was last week. And since then, I've been expanding this project nonstop. It's been my primary focus. So by using the power of Nano Banana Pro, I've been able to do things like keep this pair of sneakers super consistent across multiple angles. I can lock in my main character. I can keep the background and props aligned and really start to shape the story visually. See, Nano Banana has been incredible for this whole process, but even with all that power, it was still very tedious. I was generating one image at a time and then asking for a new angle or new lighting, new setup, a new variation or whatever. And I was doing this over and over again just to get the pieces that I needed in order to tell the story. And honestly, I was fine with that. I've been impressed with the results, but then something unexpected happened while I was in the middle of this project. So I came across a video that really helped me refocus and change everything. I'm gonna do my best to remember to put that video in the description, so hopefully it's down there. But this video showed a technique for unlocking one of Nano Banana's Pro's hidden powers. It's something that I had already known about and I had already tried before in the past with the previous version of Nano Banana, but this was a nice reminder. And that superpower is generating a full storyboard from a single prompt and a reference image. And like I said, I tried this before with the older version of Nano Banana and it didn't really work out for me the way that I wanted, but this time it worked, and it worked incredibly well. But before I show you that, let me give you a little background on the story itself. This project started as a concept for an ad, and even though the final version will probably be like a short 30-second piece, something like that, the way that I work is by building everything around music. That's just what kind of drives me. It just helps me create. So I took the story and I dropped it into ChatGPT, and or it's either ChatGPT or Gemini. I bounce back and forth between the two a lot right now. And then I generated lyrics based on the storyline, based on the script. And I used those lyrics to build a little soundtrack in Suno. So I dropped the lyrics in Suno. I think I picked like an Afrobeats Motown mix or something. I forget exactly what that was that I picked with Suno, but I went ahead and generated the song that I could follow along and really just give me that motivation to tell the story. And I'm not gonna play the whole thing for you, but I'm gonna play you a part of this so you can hear and see what I'm talking about. It'll be right in my editor in CapCut. My biggest thing right now is not editing. So I just drop things in CapCut, get everything lined up, get everything to a really good point, and if I need somebody else to come in and do the final edits or whatever, I can do that. This is all behind the scenes raw material. This hasn't been edited yet. I've just dropped this in. Before there were actually videos in here, I just dropped in some of the images from the storyboard as placeholders. So that's how I work a lot of times, not all the time, but maybe that'll help somebody else out for an idea of how to just drive your story. All right, go ahead and give it a quick listen.
These are giant steps I take. Every move I make, I was made to rise no matter what it takes. I keep climbing through the way. I keep climbing through the way. Yeah. I grew up feeling like the world was too tight. Shoulders hitting doors when I walk by life. They kept telling me to slow down, hold that fight. But the fire in my chest kept sparking at night. Big frame, bigger dreams, I could not shrink. Tried to hold me back, but I broke that link. Pressure made gold every time I blink. Took hits, stood tall, never touched the brink. Had to learn to breathe in the smallest space. Till I built my own road and I changed my place. These are giant steps I take. Every move I make, I was made to rise no matter what it.
All right, so once the rough structure is there, I start generating shots. Different angles, different lighting, different scenarios. And this is also where Nano Banana Pro really helped with product consistency, or just consistency with props, I should say. Shoes are a big part of this concept, so being able to keep that prop consistent was huge. Now, originally I had planned for this to be a faceless, sort of hooded character, something universal so that anybody watching this could imagine themselves in the story. But while I was working on it, I decided to aim a little bigger, or change direction a little bit, I guess you could say, and shape it around a recognizable figure. So I ended up leaning into Shaq's origin story. And I've always loved his backstory. The music and the lyrics were inspired by all of this. And that's when the video that I found about using Nano Banana Pro for storyboarding really came into play. So it showed me a method for creating a split side-by-side character sheet, or a prompt for that at least. And this was huge. I'll pull up the prompt so you can screenshot it or whatever you need. And basically it generates a close-up portrait on one side and a full-body design on the other side, which locks in the character's look. And from there, I grabbed a reference image of Shaq online and I upscaled it in Nano Banana Pro, which was something that I did not know that they actually did with Nano Banana Pro. But upscaling is one of the huge things that I've been using it for lately. So I took that image and I generated the character pose sheet. And then I added reference images for the shoes, and these pieces became the anchor for every single shot in the project. Even though I used the image of Shaq, I'm not going for the exact replicate of him. I can do that at some points, but I'm going for based on a true story sort of style, I guess you could say. Now this is the game changer. See, the next part of the video that I watched, it introduced the storyboard technique. And before this, I was manually prompting shot after shot, which worked, but it took forever. So when I tested the new storyboard prompt inside of Nano Banana Pro, it completely changed my workflow. I'm gonna pull up the video so you can see where I got it from. The video on YouTube was from Lenny Blonde, and the title is I Cracked the Nano Banana Pro Code for Character Consistency. And it's worth giving a watch because it goes deeper into that whole process that I'm just kind of breezing through right now. And what I did in order to save the details from this video is what I do is I take the transcript of any YouTube video that I really like the process for, I drop it into ChatGPT and I turn that into a guide. And that's how I keep and save this process. In this video, he breaks down the master prompt for creating storyboards. This prompt lets Nano Banana Pro produce a full contact sheet of images based on your reference. And when I say full, you can do 9, you can do 12, you can do whatever you prompt it for, but I like to go with 9. It gives enough space to actually see the images. And this part blew my mind. Because imagine prompting each one of these shots manually. New angles, new poses, new lighting, new action, one at a time. But instead, this gives you everything at once. Now, they're not perfect. Sometimes the character drifts, sometimes props aren't really exact, sometimes the story just gets all wonky or whatever. But the speed and the shot variety makes this a superpower. And you can adjust the prompt for different color grades, dramatic lighting shifts, really anything that you want to see variations of. But the thing about this is that you can't just crop out the frames and use them. If you do, they'll look blurry and have a low resolution. So they won't be sharp enough to use in a video. Or you can use them for a video to generate a video, but when you generate a video from an image at low resolution, then the AI video models, they guess about what data is not there. So you'll get artifacts, you'll get morphing faces, you'll get all kinds of stuff. So I would say go at a higher resolution. So in order to combat this, the first step that I do is I generate the storyboard at the highest resolution possible. So with my plan on Higgsfield, it gives me unlimited generations at 4K. So for my contact sheets, which is what these storyboards are called, I guess, these contact sheets, I generate them at 4K. This gives the model more detail to work with later. So after you build the storyboard and you pick a frame that you like, you upscale it. And I had 2 very simple prompting techniques for this. The first one, like I said, is really simple, and I just took the storyboard image and I said, show me a close-up of image number 5 from that storyboard. That's it. And that alone produced incredibly clean results. And the second one was even easier. I just said upscale image 8 from the storyboard, and it worked. I mean, both of them worked most of the time, not always, but enough that it became a reliable workflow. And when the character drifted, which happens sometimes, like the face will become somebody else, or sometimes it completely picks out a completely different character, which is fine. But it happens, and there's an easy fix to this. You drop the upscaled image into, I'm using Higgsfield, and then you bring in the character pose sheet and tell it to replace the subject with the correct character, and then the problem is solved. And the same thing for props. For example, one of the upscaled images suddenly put a Nike swoosh on the shoe. They love putting Nike on everything, but it's supposed to be an unbranded, just duct tape beat up shoe. So all I had to do was go back into Nano Banana and ask it to remove the logo, and it corrected it. You can do that in whatever editor you want, Canva or Photoshop or whatever's the easiest for you. So this whole process took my storyboard and turned it into usable high resolution shots that I could bring into video. And that brings us to the next big part of the week, the video tools. All right, so let's talk about Kling, because it was a big week for Kling. And just before I get into this, just so you know, I'm not bandwagoning on Kling just because they dropped all these releases. Kling was always one of my favorites. It's been kind of my go-to. I've always loved their motion. It has really artistic, cinematic movement, and the other models didn't quite hit like they hit for me most times consistently, so I just really loved Kling. For anything that didn't require dialogue, Kling was my go-to. But the problem was when clips needed real voices, I had to use VO 3.1 or one of the WAN models, and then try to match it up with my clips from Kling, and sometimes it didn't. Actually, a lot of times it didn't work. The mismatch in color, the lighting in between different models, it just wasn't consistent. But I was loving Kling 2.5 Turbo. That was the model that I've been using, as you can see, for a lot of my motion. And then, right in the middle of this project, Kling 01 dropped. And at a quick glance, like I was literally in the middle of the project, so at a quick glance, I didn't understand what was going on and what made it so different. But once I tested it, the step up from Kling 2.5 to 01, it became pretty clear. The motion, the detail, the way it handled reasoning, it just leveled up everything. But the biggest thing about Kling 01 wasn't even the motion. It was that you can actually edit it. Like it's a model that is used for editing videos. And you've probably seen other creators talk about this already, but you can edit scenes, you can change lighting, you can change weather, swap outfits. And one of the big things was removing watermarks. So you could take a Sora video, drop it in there, remove the watermark and use it. But anyways, you can remove people, all the kind of stuff. And the big thing is that Runway was trying to do this earlier. They made that release with Aleph at some point this summer, this year, or whatever. But it really didn't work for me. A lot of people did figure it out and did really great things with it. It just never worked for me. But this one, right off the bat, it worked. So that was actually surprising. So let me show you a few quick examples from my project. I swapped outfits, I changed the weather, I changed the camera angle, I swapped the character, removed watermarks like I talked about. And like I said, that's huge because you can take clips from Sora and use them in your project. And I don't know how it's gonna really pan out with pricing. Does it make sense to generate a clip for free on the Sora app and then pay to remove the watermarks? I guess it really just depends on your budget and what you're going for. So anyways, here I am building up my store with Kling 01, and people on my TikTok comments after I posted about it started saying, yeah, but the thing about it is that it still doesn't have sound baked in. And then I think it was like the next day, and then Kling released 2.6. So yeah, Kling answered that question really fast. Kling 2.6, they finally introduced baked-in voices and sound design.
I've been painting the floats for a whole year, and the last parade of the year has really arrived. This is definitely the best day of my year.
He took off his headphones, started clapping to the beat. In that moment, felt the city sing with the
This was the missing piece. For me, this puts Kling in the top 3 video models instantly because now I can potentially stay inside of a single ecosystem for the entire workflow. So is the sound perfect? No. The biggest thing that VO 3.1, WAN, all of them have is that the acting is trash. Like it looks like me acting on a bad day. But the lip syncing is excellent. but it's the same thing as VO 3.1. The voices still have that tinny synthetic tone, but it is what it is. There are fixes for that. You can drop it into 11 Labs, swap out the voice, things like that. You can cut around the bad acting to make it work. There's different ways you can use it, but it puts it at the top of the ones that are open. Sora 2 does a great job with this. Their acting is actually on point and their delivery, but you can't add in human characters of your own to generate, so it's not really that useful for me right now. But let's check out some of the ones that didn't really work out.
When everybody else gives up, I'll chew. I've got this covered. Get the ball! I can't stop now.
So that's that, but the point is it works. And for storytelling purposes, having sound baked in can save you a huge amount of time. Now, here's the question that everybody wants to know. Which Kling model should you actually use? Honestly, I'm still figuring that part out. Kling 01 has reasoning and the editing and the precision and the incredible motion. And then Kling 2.6 has the audio baked in, and it seems to do really well with motion and everything else also. Kling 2.5 Turbo still moves and does really well. Like, I was happy with it before these releases came out, so I'm not exactly sure. So I'll have to do more testing to see which one does best for the overall. But I'm guessing that what I'll probably do is I'll use 01 for anything that doesn't have speaking, and then I'll use Kling 2.6 for anything that I need audio or sound design. But here's the key takeaway. See, the combination of Nano Banana Pro for image generation and Kling for video generation is getting out of control in the best possible way. See, this week I created usable shots, more consistent characters, and more dynamic video than I ever had before. And next week, who knows what features will drop and change everything again. There's a couple of updates on Kling that I haven't even gotten to yet, and they look really promising. So this has been my week with Nano Banana Pro and Kling in this project. And if I finish the project soon, I'll post the whole thing for you to check out. But using these tools together has been really incredible. It's fun, it's frustrating, it's overwhelming at times, but it feels like real storytelling power now. The things that you can do right now that you couldn't do just a few months ago is insane. And honestly, how fast the field is moving next week might look completely different. So yeah, learning how to use these tools and the new features can level up your entire workflow. The stuff we can do right now is already incredible, and it's only gonna get better over the next few months. So this is the perfect time to lean in and start building your own process around it. And if you found any value in this video, it really helps if you like and subscribe so that I and the algorithm both know that I'm heading in the right direction. And if you want smaller tutorials, tool sets, and behind the scenes updates in between these longer deep dives, follow along on my other channels. All right, well, I'll see you in the next one.